Good morning. It's good to have you join us as together we consider just a few things that are spiritual in their nature, things coming from the Word of God. And so, thank you so very much for taking a few moments out of your day to consider these things with me. As we continue this series of talking about connections, and particularly in the last one, we began to talk about the connection between parents and children, in that parents need to view their children as a blessing. Another responsibility we want to consider that'll help make that connection between a parent and their child strong is found in Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 4. When Paul said, "And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord." And I want to focus in this particular segment on the last part of that verse. The responsibility that parents have to bring their children up in the training and the admonition of the Lord. It's unfortunate as we look around us today that many children are simply growing up, they're not being raised up. And we need to be parents if we're to have that good connection with our children and be what God would have us to be, who are parents who are actually raising our children instead of just allowing them to grow up. And particularly as those who are concerned about the things of God and are looking out for the well being of our children, we're going to be concerned about their spiritual growth as well. Notice what he tells us to do to bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. The way that we train them is through teaching them the Word of God and also living out those principles from day to day. And then also the admonishment of the Lord, giving them the warnings of God, telling them of the things that God approves of and the things that God does not approve of, that they might find themselves later in life doing those things which God would have them to do and avoiding those things which God would have them to avoid. In the Old Testament, it's written, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." As Christians, as parents that are concerned about spiritual things, we ought to seek to train our children in such a way that they'd be good servants of God all their life. And that training that we give them, even in their youth, will stick with them along the way and help them to be what God would have them to be, and ultimately help them to enter into that eternal, that heavenly home. So as we think about the idea of a connection between parent and child, and the importance of that connection and the responsibilities that we have in those connections, may we as parents see the importance to be training our children, admonishing our children in the Lord, and helping to train them to grow in such a way that they might be found as pleasing servants of the Lord throughout their life and ultimately at the end and receive that heavenly reward.